What's up, guys? Mr. Fatfist here, reporting live. UFC London picks, plays, and breakdowns. First up, we got Nad Narimani versus Grundy. Grundy is the underdog at plus 110. Nad right now is minus 140. This is a classic grappler versus striker matchup. Although Nad has been at alpha male for the past 2 years, improving his takedown defense and his wrestling, etc. But Grundy is a grinder. He likes to take you down and just grind out the fight. Here and there, he'll slip in a choke. Nad's stand-up is much, much better than Grundy's, though. Like I said, this is another grappler versus striker matchup. I'm leaning slightly Grundy, plus 110. This is like a dog or pass situation. So if I were you, I would jump on Grundy. All right, next up we got Molly McCann versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Both girls are strikers. Molly is the hometown favorite, though. She's the hometown girl. Molly really has problems with grapplers, anybody that has any type of submission skills whatsoever. And Priscilla is a Brazilian brawler. She likes to fight on her feet. That being said, I am leaning Molly McCann strictly because this is a pretty even fight, and she is the hometown girl, and I see it going to the judges. All right, moving forward, we got Dan Ige versus Danny Henry. Tough fight to predict, honestly. I do think Ige will have much more control time than Henry. If it hits the mat, Ige could catch a quick submission out of nowhere, though Henry could land a bomb and finish Ige as well. This is, like I said, is a tough fight to call, but I am leaning Dan Ige. All right, next up, we got Ian Heinisch versus Tom Breeze. All right, Tom Breeze, he really relies on his length, as he should. He's a very tall dude. He's got crisp boxing. More importantly, though, where's his head at these days? He literally pulled himself out of his last fight due to a bad anxiety attack against Bang Buze. That being said, to win this fight, he needs to not have an anxiety attack, stay long, and keep his range as much as possible. Ian Heinisch, on the other hand, he needs to chop down Tom's legs. That's going to pay huge dividends at the end of that fight, or towards the end of that fight. In his last fight, he won a unanimous decision against Cesar Ferreira, and that was his UFC debut. And as we know, Cesar is a stud. Before that, Cesar had won 5 of his last 6. That being said, I am leaning Ian Heinisch, unanimous decision. All right, next up, we got Nikolai versus Safarov. Nikolai is the smarter fighter. He's 9 fights, 9 finishes. He's definitely the better jiu-jitsu fighter by far. The only question is, can he cut it in the UFC? Fighting UFC caliber opponents. Safarov, he's a little bit wild in exchanges. Actually, a lot of it wild in exchanges. He gets his legs kicked apart, just chopped apart constantly. His last 2 fights against Gian Vellante and I believe it was Tyson Pedro. He could barely stand halfway through both fights. That being said, I believe that Nick gets this done. I'm only leaning this. I don't think it's a play. I'm leaning Nick or Nikolai decision. All right, next up, Joe Duffy versus Mark Diakese. This is a fight I'm looking forward to. It's a very tough one to predict as well. I'm just going to break down the fighters right now. I think Duffy is much better, jiu-jitsu practitioner. Good boxing as well. Great boxing, I should say, as well. He might have a questionable chin. That's the only thing, in my opinion. He's coming off a big knockout to James Vick, and then had some injuries after that pulled him from, I think, 2 different fights. So we will see what Joe Duffy shows up this Saturday. Mark Diakese, he's been a disappointment. Let's just put it that way. But he's much more athletic than Joe Duffy. If pressured, though, and doesn't come forward, because he's a forward fighter, if he doesn't come forward, it could be a long night for Diakese. I promise you that. He's lost his last 3 fights, all against, in my eyes, studs. Nazareth, Dan Hooker, Jakar Close, all great fighters in my opinion. That being said, I'm leaning. I'm not even leaning. I'm saying flip a coin in this one and don't bet it. All right, next up, Arnold Allen versus Jordan Rinaldi. I'll start with Jordan. He dominated his last fight against Jason Knight. He was actually a 2-1 underdog in that fight. I did have Jason in that fight. I didn't think Jordan was going to rise to the occasion. He likes to grind guys out. If Allen can get off his back when getting taken down, he will capitalize on his feet. I can guarantee that. But that being said, Arnold Allen got taken down 12 times in his last fight. He's clearly the better striker, but he can't stop a takedown for his life. And Jordan is coming down from 155 pounds. This is his second fight down at 145. That being said, I think this is a dog or pass type situation. So I would take Jordan Rinaldi plus 115 as his odds right now. Alright, I'm really excited for this next fight. Jack Marshman versus John Phillips. Going to be an absolute slugfest. It will not go the distance. Make sure to check that prop out. If it's reasonable odds, play it. Both fighters have lost their past 2 fights. They're both in desperate need for a W, where someone could be receiving their walking papers. Marshman's a one-dimensional fighter, really. He throws bombs, he hits hard, but he also throws caution to the wind, and when throwing caution to the wind, you're susceptible to getting, countered and caught. That being said, if you think Jack Marshman hits hard, John Phillips hits harder. And he hits like a Mack truck, but when you hit like a Mack truck, you leave yourself susceptible to an easy takedown. The only thing is, when was the last time Marshman shot for a takedown? I did that research earlier today. He has never attempted a takedown in the UFC. That is absolutely insane. Props for doing that, but that's insane. So this is going to be a stand-up and bang type of fight. I'm leaning John Phillips. I'm going to play him at plus 125. I believe those odds are worth it. And I do think he's going to do it inside the distance, obviously. That being said, we got John Phillips inside the distance at plus 125. Alright, we got an intriguing matchup. Another grappler versus striker. Danny Roberts being the striker, Claudio Silva being the grappler, submission artist. He's a third-degree black belt, excuse me. Danny Roberts is 16-3, Silva 12-1. Danny just really has to stay away, moving in and out of the pocket. Use teeth kicks, heavy kicks to the legs, heavy kicks to the ankle. Jab, 1-2. He can't get into a grappling match with Silva. If he does, he's going to get taken to the mat and submitted. I mean, like I said, he's a third-degree black belt. It doesn't get any higher, folks. So, bottom line in this fight, if it hits the mat, Danny could be in some big trouble. If it stays on the feet, it's going to be a short night for Silva. Striking versus grappler. So, I'm leaning though Silva. Minus 155. I think it's a playable lean as well. And I'm not sure if it's one of my picks yet. I will know after I watch the weigh-ins. Alright, next up, we got Nathaniel Wood, 15-3, versus Jose Quinones, 7-2. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Nathaniel Wood should destroy Jose. He's just all-around a better fighter. Excuse me. Completely different level of fighter. And like everybody says, like we know, there's levels to this game. I'm not quite sure why they match these guys together. I'm pretty sure it's because I guess the UFC is trying to hype up Nathaniel Wood, and that's justifiably so. You know what I mean? They need a good fighter coming out of London or wherever he's from. Unfortunately, Jose Quinones is going to be the victim to the Nathaniel Wood beating. That being said, I will take Nathaniel Wood. I want to say inside the distance, but Jose is tough. So I'm going to go with a unanimous decision. Alright, this next fight is one of my fights to really watch. Probably my number 1 fight to watch. Dominic Reyes, Volkan Ozdemir. Dominic Reyes is honestly a bigger, badder version of Volkan. Reyes' teeth kicks, they're savage. Savage, he's a savage. I do believe him and Johnny Walker are the future of this division. I'd have loved to see them fight, actually. I don't think they're going to do that, though. They have other things in mind for the both of them. Volkan, on the other hand, yes, Volkan hits fucking hard. We all know that. But Reyes hits harder. That's just point blank simple. Volkan won't have jet lag. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? He's already been in Europe for a minute now. So that's a plus. He's got a puncher's chance, but tends to fade drastically after that first round. I don't see him knocking out Reyes in the first. So I'm all over Reyes like white on rice. My pick, Dominic Reyes. Alright, next up we got an exciting fight between Leon Edwards and Gunnar Nelson. Another grappler versus striking matchup. There's so many on this card this weekend. That being said, another simple breakdown. Leon is much bigger. He's also much better of a striker than Gunnar. But Gunnar's jiu-jitsu is on a different level, like planet level, in my opinion. So if it hits the mat, Leon, could get submitted, could get choked out. And if it stays on the feet, Leon could knock out Gunnar. Or win a decision. Gunnar could tough it out 3 rounds. That being said, another question I had for myself as I was watching tape today is, can Gunnar take down Leon? And if he does, can he keep him down? And I answer that as I don't think he can. I don't think he can keep him down if he takes him down. So I have Leon to win by decision. So jump on that. I believe it's a solid play. All right, guys. All right, the main event. Darren Till, Jorge Masvidal. Darren Till, he is the bigger, stronger fighter. He's also the bigger puncher. He's going to pressure Jorge 100%. He needs to be careful, though. That didn't go too well with Woodley. Jorge could throw that overhand right and clean his clock. That being said, though, if Till can kind of keep him at distance, kind of like what Wonderboy did, obviously not using the karate, but if he can keep back with that jab, that 1-2, some leg kicks, some teeth kicks, it's going to be an easy night for Till, I think. But Jorge is much faster, much faster. He needs to use his crisp movement. He needs to stay away from that power. He needs to, use the cage. And Jorge is one tough motherfucker. He used to do that backyard brawls back in the day. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. If you can, jump on YouTube, type his name in, watch what comes up. This fight, though, I am leaning Till. This could go all 5 rounds, in my opinion. Also, they're both, 2 tough son of a bitches. Let's see here. Yeah, my pick's Till. I'm playing Till. I'm gonna put some money on him as well. I don't think Jorge is big enough for him, and I think it's gonna be similar to the Wonderboy fight, minus the karate stuff. All right, guys, this was my first video. There's gonna be more. I hope you liked it. I'm gonna tweak it. I know it's not perfect by any means, but it's as good as it's gonna get. I hope you guys all cash your bets, cash those checks. And until next time, Mr. Fat Fist is out.